Before we jump into a game of Electric Warden, I'm just going to quickly show you how I build it. And on the mountain map, I think this is the best way to build it. You can change things up if you don't have the mountain map. You can take Malphite and Kiana for any other assassin and warden, but I like Malphite as a warden in general. He's got a good CC, so I generally like to keep him in. But it's all about 4 wardens, 3 electric and 3 assassins. You stack your Z with GA, Ionic Spark, and Infinity Edge, although realistically GA I think is the only absolutely crucial item. Infinity Edge is pretty important, but Ionic Spark can be changed, and you give Volibear something like Hextech Gunblade and Infinity Edge himself. It's all about getting crits with Volibear and Z to get that massive true damage in an area. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into a game. I'm going to walk you through how I played a game of Electric Assassin Warden. It's like a kind of hybrid comp. So, I've joined the game at round 3-3. This is just after the Krugs, coming up to the Carousel before the Wolf round. You'll notice that I'm level 5, which if you are generally playing the normal or standard leveling strategy, a lot of players would be level 6 by now because you level up to level 6 on round 3-1 or 3-2. There is a reason I'm level 5 this game. When I'm in the early game, I always assess whether I think 4 of my units can help protect enough of my HP, so I sacrifice some HP for economy. This game, that's what I did. I actually didn't level up to level 5 after the first Carousel round. In fact, naturally leveled to level 5, hit 50 gold by the Krugs, and I have been using the interest to roll pretty much every round after that. So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next few rounds. I am essentially using that interest to roll as much as possible to get to level 8 and level 7 as quickly as possible. Now, there is a reason I want to rush level 8 and level 7, and if any of you have played the rush level 8 or rush level 7 Singed Z comp, you'll know why rushing level 7 is important in this particular scenario. It's because we need Z for this composition to work. Now, ideally, your 3-star targets are going to be Volibear and Ornn because you want those guys to survive the longest. Everybody else can literally just be level 2. In fact, if you could only choose one of those two to level up to level 3, Volibear would probably be the better of the two, just because he has the items. Ornn is there to do a bit of work, but if you can't get him to level 3, it's not the end of the world. So basically, you rush to level 7. The reason that Volibear becomes easier to level 3 when you're going to level 7 is because at level 7 you still have a 30% chance to get 2 cost units, whereas your chance to get 1 cost units goes down significantly. So therefore you have to be incredibly lucky in the early game to get an Ornn level 3, or you're just going to leave him at level 2 and hope that you naturally run into him at level 3 through rolls in the game. But realistically, don't stress. If you can't find Ornn level 3, Volibear level 3 and Z level 2 should be your priorities, and you can deal with anything else at level 2 in this composition. In terms of creating items, you can give any of your items that you intend to give to Z to something like a Diana, because she is a good early assassin. She's level 1, you're going to sell her for the Z eventually, so you can stack items that you intend to give to Z over to your Diana. And your items that you're going to intend to give to Z are going to be the GA and the Ionic Spark plus the Infinity Edge. Now, actually, I think if I had done this game again, I would not have given the Infinity Edge as early as I did over to the Volibear. I just assumed that I might run into another Infinity Edge throughout the game. I would actually have saved that Infinity Edge for the Z, because if you get Z to level 2, then obviously he is going to be able to use that Infinity Edge with his clones much more effectively, and you're going to get huge electric damage. But you're noticing that pretty much every round, all of my money is going to experience. That's because I want to get to level 7, and when I get to level 7, I'm going to be able to start rolling and trying to find the Z, or even just trying to find some good 4-cost units like Kha'Zix to help keep myself in the game and help sort of start beating people that I wouldn't be able to beat normally. So that's what I'm essentially doing at this point in time. Everything is going directly into experience. We are just looking to level up to level 7 as quickly as possible, and at level 7 we're going to give ourselves the best shot at finding a Z, because we now have that 2% chance to find the Z. So you'll notice that I'm now level 7 a little bit earlier than most. Most people would level up to level 7 at round 4-1 or 4-2 and then roll down to 0. I now have level 7 at the Wolves, which is going to give me 3 extra turns of rolling, above 50 gold if I want to, but also 3 extra turns to naturally find my Z. which is going to be one of the most important parts of this composition. So just to recap how we got here, you basically play the early game as much as you can, just trying to survive. You want to build an economy as quickly as possible, getting up to 50 gold, and any excess you want to make sure that you roll into experience, because you want to make sure that you're trying to get to level 7 as quickly as possible. Your 3-star targets are Volibear and Ornn, and you want to 2-star Zed as a matter of priority. Now that I'm level 7, I can be a bit less hasty going to level 8. Going to level 8 would guarantee me a good chance of getting the Zed, but I'm at 47 HP. I probably need to start finding some 2-stars, start fighting my front line to give myself the best shot possible of keeping myself in the game. I know 47 HP is still a decent amount of HP to work with, but overall, it is a good idea to make sure at this point in the game you're starting to invest in protecting your HP total, because to be honest, from the Wolves onwards, if you start to lose, you can start to lose pretty heavily, especially from rounds 4-1 and 4-2 onwards, when people actually start to try and go to level 7. If you're starting to lose to stacked level 7 compositions, and to be honest, a lot of compositions come online at level 7, you're going to start losing HP very, very quickly. So, whilst 47 HP may feel like I'm pretty healthy, it's actually a little bit deceiving, because realistically, it's unlikely that we're going to be able to maintain 47 HP for very long if we're just continuing to lose every round, which is why you're now seeing me be a bit more aggressive in my rolling strategy, because I'm essentially looking for a Zed or as many level 2s as physically possible. I basically need to balance up my relative strength compared to the rest of the lobby. You've got to remember that this composition is not a level 7 comp. If you need to play this at level 7, you sacrifice one of your wardens. You do not sacrifice the assassin, you do not sacrifice the electric if you find Zed. You can sacrifice one of your wardens on the front line. Now, I'm actually using Taric as a warden in this composition rather than the Thresh Nautilus combo. That's actually because I really like Taric. I think especially when he gets to level 2, he's a little bit, he's actually a really, really strong unit to have in your lineup. So I'm actually using him because I'd like to have him in my late game warden lineup. Now, you can see that I'm actually starting to beat people, especially people in the center of the pack. 1 second, I'm just grabbing my baby off the floor because he's trying to pull my SSD out of my computer, which would not be good when we're recording a video, would it, Rupert? So yeah, you need to, I need to start thinking about going to level 8. I can essentially assess the relative strength that I'm at right now just by having beaten a lot of people in the middle of the pack. I'm still at 47 HP, we're coming up to a carousel round. I can actually be a bit more conservative with my economy now, and then I'll start to search to go towards level 8, towards the Raptors. If I can actually slow level to level 8 and get into the Razorbeaks... If I can slow level towards the Razorbeaks, and then at the Razorbeaks I can roll down to 0 searching for a Zed, that would be a really positive outcome for me. And you can actually see Taric's doing some work here. He actually allows me to kill off 1 or 2... He actually allows me to kill off 1 or 2 extra units. Do you want me to put you in here, mate? Because you're being a little nuisance. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he allows me to kill off 1 or 2 extra units here, which is actually a pretty big deal. Because obviously... You know, at this stage of the game, if you take a big loss, especially if you're completely outclassed by a composition, sometimes you can lose by 6, 7, or 8 units, and that can actually be pretty devastating to your HP total. I mean, I just took, what, 9? No, I took more than that. I took 14 HP in a single loss there. If I was to lose like that in 2 consecutive rounds, going up to the Razorbeaks, I'm basically, or very close to dead. So there's nothing here that I actually really wanted. Spatula doesn't really offer me anything for this composition other than an extra warden, which can sometimes be good because it allows you to activate your comp at level 7 rather than at level 8, because obviously getting the extra warden would give you 4 wardens. But taking the extra Taric just means I have the option to get a level 2 Taric at some point. And getting a level 2 Taric is a pretty big deal because his ultimate lasts a little bit longer, it's a little bit larger radius, so it can actually encompass a lot more of your Zeds if you get them to transform. I also have a Nico, which I can use on the Zed, sorry, on the Taric, but I would much prefer to use it onto the Zed. So I actually thought I was going to slow level, but it looks like I decided to, given that I lost by a pretty significant amount on the last round, I decided to actually go to level 8 and add the Warden in. This is fine as well. I can just build an economy up over the next few rounds, and then I'm looking for the Zed when I can find him. Zed would be the guy I'm aiming to use my Nico's help on, just because it's the level 2 Z that basically makes this comp strong in the late game. If you don't get the level 2 Z, it can be a little bit difficult to make this comp have any kind of longevity. So obviously that's one thing that you've got to be aware of. Hello matey, are you trying to talk in the video as well? The one thing that's good about this comp is the one thing that is good about this comp is it can actually... Okay, my little man wants to be a YouTuber as well. He decides that every time that Daddy tries to talk, he's like, I'm going to talk as well. This is my time. So yeah, as I said, I went to level 8 a little bit earlier here. Now, the reason I would have gone to level 8 at this stage is just because I was probably a little bit scared of... dying, essentially. I'm at 23 HP, I'm at the bottom end of the table. There are a lot of people that are currently stronger than me, so I was probably just a little bit scared of going out. Now, the way that I would deal with this, by the way, if I lose the next round, going into the Razorbeak round, it can be a little bit precarious, so I'm probably thinking about either using Nico's help on Taric. That would, I think... If I were to use Nico's help on Taric in this game, that probably puts me in a position where I'm looking for a top 4 or top 3 out of this composition just to sort of survive and get some LP. If I use it on the Z, then we're in a situation where actually we could potentially get first. So that's the difference between a Z2 and a Taric 2 when it comes to the comp that I've built here. Now, actually, like I said, building it with Thresh and Nautilus might give you a little bit of a better outcome just because you're going to get the mana regeneration, which is going to help the Z in general. But overall, adding in a Malphite and a Taric is fine. You just add a little bit of invulnerability and obviously the CC that the Malphite provides as well. And boom, on the Raptor round, we get the Z. Now, obviously, Z1 is not fantastic. Z1 is not as good as Z2. Z1 can often die before he even gets his first clone off, but you're going to start to see the power of the 3 electric composition now. It's going to start to be really powerful. It's 250 damage every time you take a critical strike and every time you deal a critical strike, which is a pretty big deal. Do you need to get picked up? Okay, alright. Come on then. Come on then. Right, let's have a cuddle. Let's have a cuddle while Daddy talks about zapping people with electric. So I've given the Ionic Spark and the Guardian Angel over to Zed. Guardian Angel is such a good item because every time Zed clones, all of his items reset. So that means he's going to have a GA on his cloned Zeds. It's also important to note that Spear of Shojin isn't that good on Zed for the very same reason. You need to cast your ability at least once to make that work. Oh, that's another Z. So there we go. I find the other Z, which is actually really important. So I actually end up selling a Volibear for it. Volibear is someone that I'm obviously looking to 3-star as this game goes on. But the most important thing for me, in this game is getting Z2. Getting Z2 has given me a massive, massive power spike. And now if I find a Malphite 2 and a Taric 2, we've actually got a composition that could potentially win the game. I do think that to really win the game, a Volibear 3 would be ideal. But I actually feel super confident that we're in a situation here where we're very unlikely to lose consistently. You know, we might lose by 1 or 2 versus a couple of the players. You can see here that I end up losing by a very small amount. Oh, actually, I end up winning very, very small amount. So there are obviously people that are going to be quite difficult to beat. But I think overall, our composition is in a situation where it could potentially beat almost anyone in the lobby right now because we have the 3 electric. If you find Lux, by the way, Lux is obviously a pretty big addition. I would sacrifice one of my Wardens for Lux. In this case, I'd probably sacrifice Malphite. That would give me the 4 electric. 4 electric is more important than the 4 Wardens, and you can probably kill people before the Wardens actually need to do their tanking. So actually just sacrificing the Malphite for an electric Lux in this scenario gives you 4 electric, and 4 electric, by the way, is insanely broken. I'm actually going to skip ahead in the game a little bit because you're just going to see me building up economy for quite some time now, and not many important decisions are made from this point other than 2-starring my Taric and 2-starring my Volibear. So we're going to skip forward a little bit. Also because I've got Rupert, he's getting a little bit grumpy and I don't want you to hear him moaning the entire way through this game. So I'm going to skip ahead just to the final round so you can see what this composition is like when it gets to late game. Alright, so we're going to skip ahead now. We are actually at 9. So what we did manage to get was a Force of Nature. I actually ended up adding another Taric to this scenario because I was just like, hey, another Taric, more invulnerability is probably okay. Another good thing to add in this scenario is either going to be Thresh, or, you know, or just another ocean in general. So adding an ocean in general could give you a bit of mana regen, which would be really important for your Zed. But you can see that I'm at 1 HP. I definitely took some beating while I was trying to search for my 3-star Volibear, my 2-star Malphite, and my 2-star Taric. But actually you can see how important Taric is in these scenarios. Just like a huge amount of damage reduction coming through from that ultimate. My Zed is still alive at this scenario, just because Taric has been doing the work that he's been doing. And Zed is just going through, spawning clones, doing loads of electric damage, and you can see it's actually very close right now. I mean, I almost lost to this Scion here. My last item to Zed, by the way, was Rapid Fire Cannon, mainly because I couldn't find anything else good for him. I probably would have put a Warden's Mail on him if I had the opportunity to, but actually Rapid Fire Cannon is perfectly okay too. So we are just searching for the 3-star Volibear now. This is our final pickup attempt, and actually getting rid of the Lux in this scenario is probably okay. I mean, I don't have an electric Lux. I think that's a crystal Lux, so that's actually reducing the damage that my Taric's taking. And I end up adding in the Vladimir as well. So Crystal Lux here is pretty solid for my Taric because he's going to be able to take much less damage, which means he's going to get more ultimates off. And then adding in the Vladimir is purely for the ocean bonus. I've also got 3-star Volibear now. 3-star Volibear with the items that he's got is actually pretty good because he's tankier. And obviously the longer that he survives, the more likely he is to deal massive electric damage across an entire team. And you can see here in the late game, all of that electric damage just constantly spawning, constantly spamming on people, and it's very difficult for the enemy to actually survive here. So we end up winning out on this final round, even versus this very stacked Jax, and we take the win, which is really good because I was very close to losing. But that is how powerful this composition can be in the late game. It can beat out pretty much anything with the right items as well. So I hope you enjoyed, and good luck.